Alright, welcome back. We are in the farms. No, what are we doing? Bravo versus Achieved Jaguar, or whatever his name is in this tournament. This is the second match of the best of three, with Bravo managing to take Achieved's ACU out in that first match. So it's going to be potentially going out to 3 games if Achieved Jaguar can come back and take this one out. Well, it's going to be on Twin Rivers. So let's head on down to the planet and see which way it's going to go. Oh, that's just the scoreboard. Yeah, let's talk about the score. Okay, we can see big priamism or priapism or some ridiculous name. That is Achieved Jaguar and Bravo. Both these guys, 0 points on the board so far. They're both fighting for it. They are desperate for points and they are fighting hard. So now let's go to Twin Rivers. Alright, and let's play. So we have got Achieved Jaguar down in the bottom left corner. He's going to opt for UEF this time around. He's going to throw down that first land factory, getting adjacency on 1 mass extractor. We can see there are 2 power gens planned. And it's going to be some time before he can get to the Hydro back here, so I'm going to suggest he needs a few more power gens to make this build work. Alright, up here for Bravo, we can see he's got a Cybran thing going on at the moment. He's going to get that first land factory down, getting adjacency. We can see a few more power generators planned from him, so that is a nice number to be able to continue with the air production. We can see that second air factory, and then he's going to get a 3rd land factory down. Has Achieved laid out a little bit more? Well, he has. He's put down a couple more power gens, still very light though in terms of power, and then he's going to shift up to that air factory. Alright, Twin Rivers. Well, this is a spammy McSpam map for sure, because we have got this initial expansion that you start in. We have got another one over here which is very quick to reclaim, and then back here we've got a bunch more, including a hydro that's normally occupied by a dedicated air player. But when you're playing 1 versus 1, you just spread your engineers out, you just grab all of those mixes and you just build, I don't know, 10, 12, 15, 20, however many you want land factories, and you just go to town with spam. That is what we usually see. We're probably going to see the same thing this time around. Alright, the Cybran over here is still building those power generators. He will shortly be onto that air factory, but he needs to get that a bit more quickly. The build though for Achieved slightly slower, I think, because he is still lagging. Got another power generator to build before he can even get started on that factory. I think, I don't know, we're doing pretty much the same thing. It's really hard to see where the yellow lines are going, but I feel like, well, I thought the factory was next, but I'm completely wrong. What a surprise. There's a couple more power gens before we can see finally the yellow line going across to that factory. So finally have got a good handle on when he will be building his factory. Alright, we've got a couple of little raiding parties going out here. This Mech Marine has run smack into a Mantis. That is a good intercept from Bravo, but I'm not sure that he was expecting a second Mech Marine that is going to go all the way back here. It's not going to find any targets just yet, but if he gets all the way into the back, he will be able to pick up this engineer here before Bravo can respond, because there's no more combat units for Bravo in the vicinity. They're all heading forwards or across to protect this expansion. That dual little raid there was not expected by Bravo, and I think it could be a winning move from Achieved Jaguar. Achieved is a little bit faster with grabbing the expansion over the other side of the main island here. The engineer already at the first mass extractor. We can see that that is a lot slower for Bravo. Way back here for this engineer, it's going to be a good amount of time before it gets to actually building in that expansion. Meanwhile, this Mech Marine has come into range of that Engie. There's no reaction at all. There we go. Bravo has reacted. He's going to try and get a bit closer, but he realizes there's nothing he can do. He just continues building the mass extractor because that's what you should do for some reason. But that Mech Marine is now able to run off. He's just going to go and hide in the corner, and my guess is he's going to pop out a little bit later trying to take out a few more Engies. We do have a bomber out for Bravo. That's an interesting little bit of play. He's coming down to try and stop this expansion, I would suspect. There is a mole on the ground giving radar coverage, so that'll help the bomber pick up targets, and it will see this NG. That is one that Bravo could easily spot because it's in close proximity to the mass extractor, so a very nice pickup from him. That mole definitely paying for itself, even though it has been killed. The bomber able to target that NG as a result. The bomber probably would be better off heading to the back of the base now to try and get the expanding engineer there. Right now, he's got a tough time ahead of him if he wants to do a huge amount of damage back at base, because any engineers that he kills can be replaced very quickly out of those factories. Any engineer that he kills right back here, that's going to take a long time to travel, so that's going to be a big win for Bravo if he can take that out, but it looks like he has failed to do so. He's lost that bomber to these interceptors, and that will be the end of that. A counter bomber is over this side. It laid down one bombing run, so I presume there's a dead NG there, a little bit of damage to those power generators, but otherwise no real significant damage done. Looks like Bravo has redirected the NG that was on reclaim duty to come across here, finish the mass extractor, and get the factory done back here. If that factory can get completed, then that will stop this mech marine really being able to do anything, because it won't take long to pop a tank out of it to counter the mech marine. However, if the mech marine does move up and snags the NG, that will be a huge win. If he can possibly just spot that, yes, there we go, he has got vision on it. It's going to be very, very close. Is he going to be able to take it out? It's so close, and it will be. That is a severe penalty for Bravo, losing that factory at that stage of the game. Very nicely done by Achieved Jaguar. Bravo trying to make a push up the side of the map here. He does have the numbers that he needs to be able to do it. He's going to push through this one striker. There is just a Snoop falling back. It's going to keep radar coverage on, but this raiding party is going to fall foul of this ACU. If they keep pushing up, it'll easily be able to deal with that quantity of units. Over the other side of the map, there is a definite advantage to Achieve Jaguar. The very, very badly spaced units from Bravo are not doing him any favors at all. I think technically Bravo had a slightly superior number of Mantis, but the way they were spaced out made them easy pickings for those strikers that Achieve was bringing through. Alright, these units down here have managed to sidestep that ACU. They've gone to look for any engineers that were building mass extractors down here. They haven't found any, so they're going to continue around the back. Achieved already does have a factory there, so it will be very hard to completely obliterate this expansion, but still, if they can pick up a few engineer kills, maybe a couple of mass extractors, even deny this hydro for a few seconds, that'll still be a bit of an economic win for Bravo. In terms of the ecos, we have got 39 to Achieved and 37 to Bravo, so very close in it. Just a single mass extractor, though it looks like it'll probably go a bit more in Achieved Jaguar's favor once he gets these couple of extra mixes that he's not got so far. Bravo, he has grabbed those, but he's still just lagging a little bit down the back of his base. Not quite able to do it, but here we go. These guys are pouncing on. Very nice. Managing to deny that hydro. A very good pickup there. An emergency point defense goes down. If that is not spotted soon and those engineers dismantled, they will be able to complete it, and that will deny the Mantis. But fortunately for Bravo, he has spotted what is happening. He's gone in there. That's 4 or 5 engineer kills. That is a very good piece of play there from Bravo, showing why he is in this championship. And there is a huge reaction from Achieved Jaguar. Look at all those tanks. They are rolling in there. That is diverting a massive amount of force from the front line. That could actually open up enough of a hole for these Mantis here to get through and cause all sorts of damage. And that is actually going to have another flow-on effect, because that is pulling all the units across to the right and opening up for these units up here. So Bravo having a triple play of getting units in. Achieved is having to counter those, but I don't know if he's got the numbers to do it. Actually, with the reinforcements coming out of these factories, he will be able to. So Bravo's going to back off with that. That was almost a very, very lovely piece of coordinated play from all of Bravo's units. Unfortunately, not quite paying off. Bravo needs to be perhaps a little bit more aggressive at getting in there. He does have the numbers to be able to do a lot of damage, especially with the ACU moved all the way back. If he was scouting and had picked that up, he would know that he can get in here, take these tanks out, do a little bit of eco damage, and then get out of there before the ACU can even respond. He's doing a good job of making Achieved split his forces with these constant raids down the side, but the consequence of that is, of course, that his own forces are split, and he doesn't have a huge superiority in any one place. Let's just get a quick count up of the numbers of Mantis. We have got 50 Mantis, and let's check the strikers down here for Achieved Jaguar. He has got 37, so just lagging behind a wee bit. Bravo with a bit more build capacity. How many factories are we talking about? We have got a Tech 2 HQ from Achieved, but on top of that, we have got 6 land factories at the original base. We've got just a single one at this expansion and one in the middle of nowhere. And compare that to Bravo, he has got 5, 6, 7, and he's also got that T2 factory. That is well completed. He is getting his Tech 2 power up and running. A lot of assistance from those engineers. I wouldn't be surprised if that's causing him to stall. Let's have a quick check in on his eco. Yes, he is stalling quite hard while he gets that up and running. That's going to have bad things to say about his radar and his intel, because he's not going to be able to create any scouts with no power, and his radars are not going to work terribly well. But once he gets that Tech 2 gen online, he will be absolutely fantastic for power, and it is only a few seconds away as well. He will be definitely looking forward to that so that he can see what is going on with this fight, and he'll know that he's got the numbers to be able to push through with just a bit more reinforcements. He can make Achieved think twice about it, but still pretty even on both sides once these things are split. The difference, of course, between the two armies is minimized when you have them split. If you have quite a large difference in production capability, you're only seeing half of that if you've got them split evenly between two halves of the map, and that's not anywhere near as significant, and a bit of clever micro might undo it. Excuse me. Alright, there's a very poor formation there from Achieved Jaguar. He is going to take fire end on. He really needs to rectify that very, very quickly. These Mantis are going to be able to come in and take just a couple of strikers on at a time. Have an absolute field day with that. Achieved is pulling back, so he has seen it, and he is going to avoid taking too much damage. We've got a pretty good build-up of Mantis here, but when are we going to start seeing those Tech 2 tanks hitting the front lines? Well, we've got a couple of Rhinos rolling up there now, and we've got some pillars up this way for Achieved Jaguar. All in all, it's looking fairly even. They're both pouring resources into that, but look at this. Achieved has grabbed his entire island up here. He's got all of that reclaim happening. Look at all those flashes from the NGs pulling in trees, and of course the mass extractors as well. And what is Bravo doing over here? He has got an attack move and he's forgotten about his factory. He is not building any mass extractors. That actually could let this lone NG from Achieved, which is a very, very half-assed attempt, I must say, to try and capture the island. But we can see a build order there to try and get a factory down. If that succeeds, that is, well, deserving of Bravo to be completely punished for losing that island and all the eco that goes along with it, because look at all of the effectively idle engineers. They will be idle in just a minute once they have pulled out all of the reclaim within range of that. Oh, there we go. There is finally a build order laid down. He's going to send that NG in. In fact, the timing might be just right to spot the build go down from Achieved's engineer and be aware of what is happening and respond accordingly. Okay, the Mantis are doing a good job, supported by a couple of Rhinos in here. It looks like the fighting has gone mostly Bravo's way, although the reclaim is a bit closer to Achieved's side of the map, so it won't be too much more difficult for him to claim the area with these PDs and get that reclaim for himself. Did I hear some bombers? I'm not sure if I did, but we have got a lot of air in the sky for Achieved Jaguar. There we go, there's bombers raining down upon those Mantis. That is the sound of Achieved Jaguar capitalizing on his air advantage, and I'm not sure it's necessarily an advantage in terms of actual interceptor numbers, but it's an advantage of actually using your air, because Bravo had all of his interceptors parked way back at base and was not doing a damn thing with them. It looks like Achieved may still have the numbers he needs, but finally Bravo taking out that bomber after it has done all sorts of nasty things to his army there, and that's going to give quite a firepower advantage to Achieved Jaguar on this side of the map. And now we've got a bomber on this side as well, so Achieved just doing a really good job of getting in there with those T1 bombers, softening up all of those forces, and Bravo just being a little slow to respond to it. He's going to have to try and take on the bulk of the interceptors from Achieved if he wants to take this bomber out. And it's still too close to call. I feel like Achieved is probably going to have it, but it will depend on who gets the best turn. Achieved is continuing to micro, but what is Bravo doing? It looks like Bravo's got a very poor turn there with those interceptors. They've taken a bunch of fire, but does he have the numbers to keep it going? Or it looks like Achieved also with a really poor turn there, turning their backs on the enemy interceptors and giving Bravo an opportunity. Both these guys are going to lose a ridiculous amount of interceptors, but I think it will be Achieved that comes out just on top. Although he's only going to have about 10 interceptors left after all of that ridiculously bad micro with those planes. We've got a push down the left-hand side here, but these guys are running smack into a whole squad of pillars, and there's a bunch more coming up as well. Those rhinos are going to get shredded. Unfortunately, the Mantis thinking that this was a valid path to go down the beach here, and that is exactly where you don't want to be. They are spread out and they're coming in one by one. They are easy pickings for all of those pillars. We have got the rhinos pushing up on this side as well, making a good dent in Achieved's army. The ACU having to come into combat there. He's down to 10,000 HP. He's lost about 3,000. He does have a little bit of veterancy, I think. There we go. And these rhinos just pushing up. Does Achieved have enough power for overcharges? Let's have a quick look at him, and he has got plenty of power. He's got plus 400, and he has an energy storage, so he's not got any issue just pumping out those overcharges and killing those rhinos off very quickly. So the tides are turning in Achieved Jaguar's favor right now. The eco is slightly in his favor as well. He's got about a 10 mass per tick advantage. Let's look at the reclaim figures as well. He has got about 4,000 mass advantage in terms of reclaim over the Bravo. That'll be what's fueling all of this, and including a Tech 3 upgrade, because we have got a Percival on the field. You better watch out, Bravo. We have got some serious firepower coming your way. These rhinos are not going to know what hit them, especially if we get a couple more Percys in the mix. So these pillars and Percys, oh, that is starting to look like a very tough target. Bravo just struggling. He's still having to produce Tech 1 across this side of the map, just trying to do damage, or just to try and stop Achieved from doing damage. But look at all of these pillars. They are just going to walk right through the engineers and Mantis that are trying to stop them. They are going to get up into the eco, and this is all Tech 2 eco as well. Well, somewhat Tech 2 eco. Are they on upgrade? No, they're not. So it's just the single upgraded mechs down there. But there is that serious risk of being overrun by these pillars. We do have a few more rhinos joining the party to try and stop it. That's enough to make Achieved think twice about it, especially given a couple of defensive PD that have gone down, because I think Achieved has actually forgotten to bring any Lobos with him. So no artillery means no point defense clearing. We have got a lot of wreckage down here, which used to be Bravo's army. He has thrown that away against the pillars and Percy. Is it just one Percy? It does look like one Percival is online in the area, but that has absolutely obliterated all that force. So we're back to mostly Mantis with a couple of rhinos mixed in from Bravo. He is at a serious tech disadvantage at this point in the game. He needs to get those loyalists up and running, or even bricks. Actually, loyalists at this point with Percivals on the field are not really worthwhile, so he will need to get some bricks to try and counter those Percys. But I feel it's a little too late. There are now 2 Perseus and a whole stack of pillars on this side of the map. They're going to be able to push through, absolutely no problems at all. Meanwhile, the eco from Bravo is actually up at 85 generated mass per tick, so he's not a slouch in the eco game, but that lack of reclaim is really, really hurting him in terms of being able to produce those Tech 3 units. He's still relying on those rhinos. He's going to have to fall right back. There is absolutely nothing he can do. He is giving up this entire reclaim field. That's another couple of thousand mass, which is going to go achieve Jaguar's way. Absolutely no contesting that at all. Look at this cluster of NGs. They are having a field day with all of the wreckage. Look at the little cluster of like little rabbits running across the field, pulling in mass. Alright, we're going to have to look at this Tech 3 upgrade because this is critical to Bravo. He really needs to get those Tech 3 units on the line. He's got 1 brick. I think that's the first. No, there is actually another brick out already. So he's managed to have a couple of bricks. How many Percival's is he facing though? And oh, we're just going to have to look at this for a second. Even though he walked right by that factory as it was being built, he completely missed it, and now he's losing his expansion. He's still got no combat units on there, just engineers. They're all huddled in the corner. These are frightened rabbits. The rabbits we saw were aggressive, confident rabbits from Achieve Jaguar. They were grabbing a mass. These guys are just hiding. They're trying to burrow into the hill just to save their skin. It's not going to work though. And the bricks are now on defensive duty here. Those 2 Percivals hanging back here. I suspect that this might be enough to hold for now. These 2 bricks against the Perseus with all the Mantis getting in there as well. The Mantis should be able to mop up those pillars, and the 2 bricks are going to be a reasonable match for the 2 Percivals. It's going to be enough to make Achieved think twice about it, but as soon as there's a few more Percivals joining the fray, that is going to be the end of it. So 1 Percy goes down. But that's still a very, very healthy Percy, and another one has just come up to replace the down one. Meanwhile, Bravo has lost a lot of his force. I think one of those bricks went down. He really needs to get in here and reclaim. Let's see how he is doing for mass. He really desperately needs some more mass, and in fact he needs some more power as well to be able to spend more mass. So he kind of needs to get some power and this reclaim field. There's a good chunk of mass. There's 1,000 mass in that pillar. There's 900 in that brick wreck. Unfortunately though, Bravo just continuing to pull back, and he's actually going to let these little engineers here from Achieved go and scoop that up. That is painful to watch. It is so close to where Bravo was controlling his territory, but it is just not to be, and that is going to just fuel the Percival rage even more. That is sad to see. How many bricks have we actually got in the mix? I can see we got 1, 2, 3, and yeah, that's about it. That is insufficient bricks. I need some kind of alarm. Insufficient bricks, because that's not going to hold these Percivals. The ACU as well. I did see he got upgrade before, so he's got the gun upgrade. Did he grab T2 as well? Looks like he may have. That's a fairly beefy comm. I don't think he should risk it at this point though, because he's got all of these Perseus rolling up to the front lines. Just get that AC out of there, get him into a safe location, just in case you misclick and get your ACU caught out. You don't want that to happen. Alright, Achieved has actually pulled all of his forces away from the left-hand side. Everything is being focused on the right here. We've still got a bunch of Mantis and a single brick, well, and a Rhino, a couple of Rhinos, to try and push up this left-hand side. I think that's Achieved's plan though, just in case something comes that way, react to it with a bit of this main army so that he doesn't have to really divert too much force. So he's still got a bunch of pillars, he's got a couple of Perseus, but they're heading away. Unfortunately for Bravo, he's actually not being aggressive enough with those units. With that brick, he probably could push through and at least divert a whole lot of units away from the right-hand side. But what he's doing is just allowing all of the Percivals to congregate in this side of the map. How many are we talking about? Let's just get a quick head count on Percivals. We have got, wow, 11 Perseus. If he can get all of those in one place, that is a game ender. We are now at 22 minutes into the match. Big priapism, whatever is Achieve Jaguar. He's on 122 generated mass per tick, so that is just about double what Bravo is able to do. Plus, he's owned all the reclaim fields. This is just a matter of time. We'll just speed it up a couple of points, I think, because it is just going to be Achieve Jaguar's choice of how he ends this match, and that's going to be interesting because Bravo managed to take their first match out. So I think for the first time we are going to see a shift to a third match in the best of 3 to get a outcome. Percival's just not wanting to commit for a Chief Jaguar. He really should be a bit more confident given the amount of firepower that he has. There are 4, 5, 6 bricks in that mix there. The downside, of course, to the Percivals is that massive alpha damage just means that they have a huge amount of overkill whenever they hit a Mantis or another Tech 1 unit. That is a complete waste of the 1600 alpha damage off that Percy. But Achieve really still just not pushing out. Let's just crank the speed up a little bit because this is a bit ridiculous. And it is Achieve Jaguar's choice of how to end the game. He's just choosing not to do it at this point. A couple of Tech 1 bombers would clean up all those Mantis, and then the Perseus can fix up the rest of the bricks, and that would be game. But he's just continuing to jockey back and forth, not really wanting to lose too much. I guess he's probably afraid of leaving Percival Rex on the front of Bravo's base, which would fuel a potential comeback. But here we go, up in the top here, they are breaking through. There's still a good smattering of Percivals in there. They can bust through. We've got a final engagement here. I think this is Bravo's last ditch effort. He knows that he has to get in here and catch that ACU out of place if he has any chance of winning, and he's actually doing a very good job. Look at that. That is a run of Corsairs. What is this? This is ridiculous. The bricks are so close, down to 3000 HP, and the bricks are all expired. Bravo was focus firing on that ACU and was just about able to pick off Achieve Jaguar's commander, but it was not to be, and that is the end of it. So Bravo, was that a control KO or a death by Percival? Either way, it doesn't matter. But Jaguar just escaping by the skin of his teeth from that push. That was very, very lucky. And that does mean that we are going to go up to 1 point apiece. Whoa, that was a fairly exciting end to an interesting match. Not quite the meta that we come to expect from Twin Rivers, but we'll take it. So that is a win for Achieve Jaguar. That levels this best of 3 at 1-1. So we're going to have to go to a third round to decide it.